since I talked to you last, which was a couple years ago, some of the decisions you've had to make about Owen's care and what has helped you in the decision making?
I was surprised by some of and I think this just goes back to my not wanting to make decisions in advance type thing. So he ended up with hip surgery, which I remember, I think Isaac had hip surgery. And at the time, when she was doing it, I remember thinking I would never do that, because why would you do that to a terminally ill child? Like, that just seems like an awful lot to put the kid through, and why would you do that? And then when the moment came, I was like, why would I not do that? Like, it's a completely different thing. So that was surprising to me. Again, it just goes back to I'm not making any decisions in advance decision. But so that's been the big one for me, is I try to gather as much information as possible. Try not to make decisions based on just what your doctor says too, or even what your kid looks like right now, I think is one of the things too. So Owen does not have I don't know what it's called, but when they do the G tube and then they tighten it so you can't puke, the fundilla something.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I won't be able to say the word either.
So I think that I probably, and at the time I remember them saying, oh, he doesn't need that, and he didn't need that. But I probably should have done that, because we wouldn't be having these events that we're having now. So I think what I've learned is you can't think about just this moment now. The difference between the short-term decision and the long-term decision, you do have to consider the long-term decision. Don't just look at what the kid looks like now. You have to consider what's going to be best ever. And I think that it's hard to do, because you're trying to make a decision about things that haven't happened yet, which I'm contradicting myself right now, but you do have to weigh the worst case scenario options in with what you're doing now, because it's not an isolated thing. It's going to keep going if you're talking about a progressive condition. So am I making sense? Am I babbling here?
No, you're making sense. You're making absolute sense. I mean, some anticipation, this is true of parenting, right? Like any parenting, we need to anticipate as much as possible what will be best for our children, and make decisions in the moment that we think will play out well.
Take all the advice, listen to what everyone has to say, and at the end of the day, make your decisions for yourself and trust yourself. And God, the universe, chance, whoever entrusted this child to you. It's your job to make these decisions. What you feel is right, and that's it. And you need to trust that. Don't give your power away. Even in those times where it would be easier to do, just don't do it. Because those are the only regrets that I have are the points where I can look back and think, I should have done what I thought I should have done. I should have said what I thought I should have said. Making a mistake is one thing. Relinquishing the power to somebody else's mistake is something else. Is a harder thing to live with, I think, for me.